You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back with a new episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Well. We're deep into Pride Month, or June, or Juneteenth, which is coming up very soon. So much, all the time. And I'm just really feeling it. I'm really feeling this month. This month has been going fabulous. I really can't complain. I'm really enjoying just the vibes, the energy, the love of the podcast. I mean, you all are just killing it out there. Showing up, showing out, sharing it. The listens have been fabulous. Shout out to the folks out there in Denmark, abroad, my international listeners. I love you all so much. Just continuing to share the podcast, tell people about it. The mail, the messages, I do read them all. I don't respond to everything because it can be a little overwhelming, as you can imagine. But I am seeing it. And I'm seeing your debates and your conversations. And if you really love the podcast, of course, always subscribe and also leave lovely, messages and 4-star ratings and 5-star, love and blitz, share all of that, promote it, do your thing. It's effective. It's working. It's definitely working. And I'm so grateful, continuously and profusely. Thank you so much, for just listening and sharing this show and, reading the rest of the content. I can't thank you all enough. So there's been some great news coming. And of course, there is that one big thing that I'm hiding from you all that is coming very soon. And I can't wait to really, give my big announcement. But I know I've been trolling you all for some time because I've been dropping these other big announcements that you're like, okay, well, what is bigger than this? Because it just keeps getting bigger and better. So on the tour to the big announcement, another great announcement came this week. So I have been officially elected into the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, the Mid-Atlantic chapter. Yes, the Emmys, the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, which is similar to the National Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, which is for movies, the Academy Awards. This is the Academy for Television. And these are basically the people that put the Emmy Awards. Well, I represent the Mid-Atlantic chapter, and so I'm a part of that chapter of leadership. And I officially got elected this week, and they sent me the information recently, and I am ecstatic and I'm thrilled and very excited. I mean, as you know, I love television and love TV and love all those things. And as someone who's been in media and has also had my own TV show locally, this is a full circle moment for me. And I mean, I was hit up about this about a month ago, actually. So I have been a member of the regional Emmys, the Mid-Atlantic chapter of NASTA, they're calling it. Some people call it NASTA, for about 5 to 6 years, actually, when I started my TV show version of Ernestly Speaking. And I did it at Philly Cam, Philadelphia Community Access Media, which, as you know, last week I was elected board chairman of the board for Philadelphia Community Access Media, Philly Cam. And now here we are, full circle again, being on the board of the regional Emmys. So this is just a lot right now, and it's super exciting. But I had joined back then because I had a TV show, and I was very much so interested in broadcast and visual media, and really connected with the TV people in this type of way. As you all know, my career has always been heavily print and digital, but I've always had a love for TV, as you know. I've made TV appearances over the years, and also as the president of the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists, I represent Black journalists in Philadelphia and the Philadelphia region across all different industries, including print and broadcast. Those are our two major elements. And so being on this board and representing, being a representative of this academy of all these different types of multimedia journalists and professionals, but also really speaking truth to diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's just a tremendous honor and super excited to be doing this. My first term is 2 years, so I'll be on the board for 2 years, and then I'll be up for reelection if that's what I'm interested in, and will be uh, going to the Emmys and going to the stuff, going to, helping out, judging contests and, lending my voice to the industry at large. It's more than just the awards, people. It's an industry that wants to, do better in representation and find ways to honor and celebrate the community at large and in the visual media. So I'm going to be a part of doing that. And I think I'm up for the task. I don't even think I know I'm up for the task. And I'm ready for it. So that's the great news. So, other news, which is just something I've been thinking about lately, and definitely something that's important. So, wedding planning, as you know, has been going and going and going. So, next month is my wedding shower, which I'm super excited about. It's going to be in Rittenhouse. Not going to disclose the location. I've been very big on not disclosing location for my major wedding venues and things of that nature because I just people are wild out here, and it's just smart that I just don't at this time. I think you're used to dealing with people who come at you from different angles, and I have, while in some many ways I do enjoy bumping into fans and listeners of the podcast and my writing who are very nice. I would say 95%. I won't say 99%. I would say 95% have been very nice and respectful, and it's always a good time. I like taking selfies. I don't mind doing it. If I'm out and about, it's pretty much good vibes. But then you get people who are very big on rolling up. And it's obvious that I might be on the phone because I do, work. I have a career. I do other things, right? I have a life. And there are people that like to roll up, and that roll up is what gets, things going left. And so I don't mind a wave, but if I'm on the phone and I'm clearly engaged in the conversation, the worst thing ever is to be right next to a person and wait for a person to get off the phone. If you don't know them or don't know them in that way, it's so weird. And so I've had experiences where like I'm downtown, I'm shopping, I'm doing my thing, and I'm on the phone, and someone will literally like, I've had this happen a couple of times, but they'll like be right next to me and they'll wave at me, and that's fine. I'll wave back and it's all good. But they'll literally like be right next to me and they'll wait literally for me to get off the phone. And sometimes I'm in conversations where I really cannot get off the phone. And there are times I try to signal them on the phone, but they will be like, they'll do the whole, oh no, take your time, as if I am supposed to just stop everything for them. It's weird. But I've had that happen. And sometimes, some situations, I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry, whatever. And I hate having to apologize. Like, why am I saying sorry? But I mean, by default, I just am naturally nice. So I don't want to just be like, bug off. But, I don't know. I've just been mindful. I don't do that to people. I mean, I stand for folks too. Listen, I have my people I get gilly for. But they're not like, is there anyone in Philly I get like that for? Hmm. Hmm. Not really. No one in Philadelphia, I would say. Most of the people in Philly that I like, I'm already like connected to and friends with, I guess. So that's I'm a little privileged that way, I guess. But I would say nationally, there are people definitely, like if I saw Byron Allen, which I have not seen yet, he is on my bucket list, must see. And what's crazy is I am not that many degrees separated from him. I do contribute for the Griot, as you all know, and he owns the Griot. And a lot of people that I know at the Griot see him every day. And I'm just like, how do you see this man every day? How do you see this king every day and not, be like dropping on the floor? Like, I love him. I'm so obsessed with him. And his work, his advocacy. He's like a media man. He is Black-owned media mogul, right? And he also like uses his power as this really wealthy man to employ lots of Black people around meaningful, dignified content. And then he leverages it and fights the systems that be, like the Supreme, like challenging the Comcast at the Supreme Court and challenging McDonald's right now, multi-billion-dollar companies to fight for equity for black owned media and black media groups and whatnot. I just think he's great. I really like him a lot. And his background is in comedy and other ventures. He's just such a renaissance guy. And if I was to see him, I think he would be someone I would definitely be standing for. Like how I was with Oprah, which I don't listen. I don't have to like that's it. That's my standing card. I mean, maybe Meryl Streep, definitely Rihanna, but I don't know. Denzel, I like Denzel. I haven't seen Denzel in person, but I do. I think Denzel definitely is up there. Meryl Streep is definitely up there, and Rihanna, Obama. I've met Obama. I've bumped bumped him in a photo once that went like kind of viral and stuff. But like that's I don't know. I think those are about it for me as far as like the major players. There's folks that I do like and I admire. I think they're great people, like Amanda Gorman and Simone Biles and Naomi, Serena. These are great people. But I think as far as like just standing out, I just the list is very small. Oprah was like my number one, and it happened, and now I can just go on and live my life and know that I had a moment and hopefully more moments with Oprah. And so I don't. When you have that moment, and it wasn't like I waved and took a selfie. Like I got to interview her, y'all. I mean, y'all know this story already, but like I got to have that. So I feel fulfilled in my destiny and my purpose now. I don't feel any, like I don't look at me standing. But anyway, back to this. Long story short, there are people that don't necessarily respect boundaries, and so I would say people like Byron Allen, others, if I was to see them, if I would like to see them in a space where they are open, right? Like I feel like when you go to social gatherings and mixers and events, normally when people are of quote unquote public figure status or whatnot, like I guess I have to realize that I am not, I guess, somebody that's just a regular person to people. I have to come to terms with that. So I'm just not even going to fake the funk, right? I got to take it for what it is. I am a public figure, a public interest to the public. That's just what it is, right? So when I go out to some of these events and I'm at public events, I know, like in the back of my mind, if I'm with my best friends, especially Jamarcus, when we go out to stuff, like, hey, there are going to be people that's going to stop and say hi and take pictures and, and that's just what it is. That's what it's giving. Now, I think the difference here is that when I'm having intimate events that are more intimate and private, things for friends, if I'm at a friend's birthday party, if I am out with a man and we're privately kind of just doing our date night or something, uh, those are the times where I'm the least interested in trying to engage and to talk to folks. I will do a wave, I'll do a hi, but if you see me with one person or if you see me at someone else's shindig, it's not really about it's me. I would like to shift the focus back on whatever that is happening at my table. And so that's what I try to do. But there are people who will come up and they'll see, me and Mr. Johnson, or they'll see me and one of my friends, and what could be have been just a gathering of us that is not a public event becomes them being like, oh, I read this and I have thoughts about this, and they want to have a whole conversation. And the worst people, as you can imagine, to do this is white people. Just gonna keep it 100. White people, y'all, listen, love the love from all groups of people. But it has been, I think my biggest boundaries have been crossed by white people who have been fans of the work, because they just think, a lot of times I think they are not mindful. As I write about privilege, right? Of that, the world doesn't stop and begins with their interest and their investment in time. So if I'm out with my people and I'm doing my thing, coming up to me and saying, hey, hello, and I say hello back, and they're saying, hey, I want to talk about this, or I read your piece, I have some things to say, and you see I'm with a group of people and they're kind of looking at you a little crazy, that might be a sign of saying, that should be your part where you should just like say, oh, well, I'll email you or something. I mean, there's other ways to communicate that does not require you taking up my actual personal private space. Because I give so much of myself to the public on a regular basis with the podcast and my writing. And so it's important to respect boundaries. in the physical sense. And I know that hot vac summer is out and I'm going to be out in these streets and more people are going to see me at places. Some of you have been listening to the podcast and been tracking where I'm going and telling me that you listen to the podcast and was like, oh, I saw the podcast. You said you was going to a drag tea brunch. And I looked up one and I saw you at the Sofitel. And have come and met me at Sofitel and said, I saw the podcast. I listened to the podcast and I saw you was going to be here. And I'm like, damn. So, you just be mindful, people. Just mindfulness is important, especially during this pandemic. Mindfulness is really important. So one of the things that's been happening as far as wedding planning has been going outside of all of it, the randomness of that, is I'm having situations with some of my guests, a small number, some, that I guess the summer is coming with breakups and makeups. And as you all know and you've been following, I've been having situations where people have been getting in relationships, breaking up with the boo, breaking up with the bae, turning around and being like, actually, we're back together. I know I was really pissy and said, fuck this person. I want to just go solo dolo. And then that person is like, actually, we want to get back and yada, yada, yada. So it's a lot of that crazy stuff that's been going on lately. I had a situation recently where somebody in a part of this coming to the wedding, they broke up with their boo, or they were breaking up or whatever. Then all of a sudden they decided, oh, actually we want to be together. We love each other. And they were like, yo, Ernest, remember when I told you like to squash them and cancel them out at the wedding? Well, actually, we're back together again. Can I, kind of put them back on? I'm like, hold up. These plus ones and these invitations are the fuck transferable. I done already given that invitation to somebody who was in the lottery, in the waiting list, waiting to come through. So I'm not about to be the bad guy and rescind their invitation. So you need to go back to your boo and tell them what you done did. And hopefully they will forgive you and say to themselves, you know what? Yeah, I didn't know we was getting back together. You're going to hate me because you can't go to the party of the year. The dinner, the wedding of the year. I'm sorry that you can't go. It sucks. But it's not my fault. And, it's just, you got to deal with those things. But I'm not rescinding a motherfucking thing. I'm very, very, very dead ass on that now. Like, I'm not changing weddings, adjusting invitations. I'm not doing that. I'm just not doing it. Because, one, this is the part where next month, we will be on the countdown. It will be 3 months away. July to August to September to October. We'll be 90 days away starting mid next month from the wedding. So I'm not about to sit up here and be changing my entire plans around because you decided that you wanted to wake up and get your relationship together and you decided not to keep that to yourself. See, here's a pro tip. You got literally till, I would say, July, September, whatever. With these invitations, so let me be clear. With my wedding, I have not sent out the invitations yet. I have, because I'm doing food tastings this month. And so my strategy, and I'm kind of happy I have not done this part yet, because as you all can see, these invitations keep going up and down all around. So my plan right now, currently, my strategy is, my plan is that I want to do a wedding tasting, okay? Between myself and Mr. Johnson, we're going to do the tasting because the wedding has been paid for, the food, the liquor, the venue, everything's been paid for, okay? At this point, we're just getting gift bags and random razzle-dazzle shit. Like, we're getting a broom designed to jump the broom. There's this company called Love House, which is spelled Haus, that is doing all of our additional trinkets and stuff. And then we haven't done flowers yet because we're waiting to get the table situations situated with the menu. So this venue that we're having it at, they're doing the catering, they're doing the light. I mean, we're doing everything in multiple packages. It's a lot. It's dramatic, but whatever. And shout out to my day of coordinator, and my day one coordinator. they're helping with some of the logistics as well. But the one thing that was important was that we wanted to get the menu finalized because the vegetables, I think everything is in season. So this will be a seasonal like fall menu. And they wanted to make sure that they got vegetables or things that were as close to season as possible for the tasting to give me a close tasting to what that would be in the mock-up. But basically it will be on season because I care about that kind of stuff and sustainability. But not like, let me be clear about, well, see, I didn't use the wrong word, the wrong S for sustainability. I'm not saying sustainability. This is not going to be, I mean, listen, I love people who are vegans. We will have a vegan option on the menu. And let me be very clear. It will not be that shit that was at the Philadelphia Flower Show. Because I shared that tweet, and some of y'all saw it, where they had quote unquote a grilled veggie hoagie, but that shit looked like frozen vegetables that were steamed, not grilled, on some random ass Kaiser roll that they were selling for 15 fucking dollars. I lost my mind. I didn't go, but I heard the fire festival. They were saying, okay, that this flower show felt like the fire festival. That was the energy that it was giving. And so I was completely floored. But in a way, not surprised because I'm kind of like, y'all seem like the type of people that would try some shit like that. This is the first time the Philadelphia Flower Show had ever happened in outside, like outdoors. Normally, as you all know, it's the Pennsylvania Convention Center where it's air conditioned, it's popping. You can't get away with no shit like that. But I don't know what they was doing. Outside is pretty. I feel like flowers should be outside. There should be natural sunlight. There should be wind. But it's also been heavy rain and been icky and weird. So it's been a mixed bag. I've heard mixed reviews about this flower show, y'all. You know, I'm more of a car show girl myself. You know, I like to go see the room, room, room. I like to see the cars and take pictures by cars that I will that either I can't afford or one day when I am able to afford, I would probably not buy. But it's cute to see the car stuff. You know what I'm saying? Look at those emissions and all that green gasness and pollution they put in the world. Fun fact, as you all know, I don't know how to drive. So I just think it's fascinating to be in a car that you don't know how to drive and just look cute. And there's people out here with driver's licenses that speeding their way through Philly. There was a 3-car clash down Center City that was outside of Butcher and Singer for those who know about that Steakhouse Row. Fun fact, ding, ding, ding. There was a 3-car collision, apparently involved a Lamborghini or these fast cars or something, but the shit was wild. And I was just like, oh my goodness, I cannot. But there's been, like I said, there's been a lot going on since the city's reopenings, and it's been making me gag for a minute because I'm just like, wow, this is real. Like, people are out here literally not giving any fucks right now about safety in so many ways. But anywho, I digress. The menu is going to just be just thoughtful and tasty and reasonable, and there's going to be multiple courses, and people are going to they're not going to be going home hungry. This is not your random sliced French chicken or whatever fucking chicken dinner at a wedding or just your typical surf and turf situation. Like, this is going to be a menu that has some really good options, and the vegan option on the menu, because there's not going to be a vegetarian option. Like, listen, if you're a vegetarian, you can eat vegan. If you're a vegan, you cannot necessarily eat vegetarian because of dairy. So my mentality is with food options is that there's going to be food for the carnivores and there's going to be food for the vegans. And if you're a vegetarian, then you just eat the vegan option. And I promise you, the vegan option is going to be so fucking good that you're literally going to just be like, you know what? I could do this forever. So that's the flow. But the options that are in the menu is going to be fall themed. Not like heavily fall, like everything's not going to just be pumpkins and squash and crap like that. But it's just going to be using seasonal vegetables. So there probably will be like pomegranate glaze and, you know, some type of pecan and essence and hints of maple, and there's going to be fun little things that we're going to do with the fruits, but also, mind you, this is going to be good food. It's not going to be like something that's so over the top avant-garde that folks want to enjoy. But you all trust my eating and my tasting. But anyway, we're going to they're going to do the best they can to incorporate those seasonal. Some of these vegetables will be, I guess, in season or something, but they really just want me to get a viewpoint of what that menu will look like and make something the closest to it. So I could get a flow and a vibe. And so we'll be doing a tasting with them, with the caterers, and from what we choose and decide, that will design the whole menu down the T. So I'll be trying the vegan option. If I don't feel comfortable eating the vegan option, I'm not going to pick I want the vegan option to be so good that even my carnivore ass will want to eat it. That's how I look at it. Like, I want to be, I have good taste. I feel like I have good taste. I think it's going to be great. And I'm not stressing myself. I'm having fun with this type of stuff. This is the stuff that's fun. When shit is paid for, that's the best time, right? Because the pressure is not on you anymore as the payer or as the benefactor. Because you're the stakeholder, you pay for it. The pressure is on the person that's actually going to cook the food and do it now. Now the tables have turned, because that's how these wedding venues like to do. They like to do the whole, well, we could do all of that. Yep. Just make sure you put your deposit. Just make sure you pay, by these deadlines. And what happens when you do that part? Then you look at them and say, yeah, I did my end of the bargain. So let me see what you're giving. Let me see what you're bringing to the table. So I'm looking forward to trying this food. And, both Bear and I will be, looking at all the different options. We're going to have stuff. I mean, this is Philadelphia, so we know everyone doesn't eat pork. So, of course, there'll be options that are clearly not pork. There'll definitely be various options, seafood options for the pescatarians who don't, that type of vibe. We're definitely going to have red meat, because I do want a short rib on that menu. I kid you not, there has to be a short rib. It's fall. Fall is for short ribs and pork loins. But, again, there's options for everybody who's coming. But they'll get to choose 2 main courses. I was very big on that. This is like, I need people to eat. I hate going to weddings. Let me not do. I have, I may or may not have been to weddings where the food portion sizes were slightly small and underwhelming. Some, not all, but I've been to a few. And I said to myself, I hope they didn't pay that much per plate for this food. But you know how some of these weddings be. It'd be the venue that dictates. But this situation is different. So anyway, I'm excited about the food. Very excited about the food. Let me just say that. Can't wait to try the food. I'm excited about food that I haven't tried. But because the caterers are fabulous, okay? And I just have seen their work. I've had other food by them for other events that were not this fall season. But I trust their talent, which is why I selected them. And I've also put a list of all my vendors on my Instagram page. You can see all the wedding venues that I've picked. But this is like CRXT. I think that's the vendor or something like that. Creative something. I can't remember all of it. So it's a lot going on. And it's going to be a great time nonetheless. So some of the stuff that I have in planning the menu, okay, because this is what I want to be clear about. And so there's some stuff that has changed through time. And I think one of the big things that I have been thinking about in crafting my menu and things is that once I get the menu finalized, I'm going to then include that with the invitation for the wedding. And then people will then get the invitation, get the menu. They will select the food. If you don't select your food, then you have not confirmed your plate, which means you've not confirmed your plates, then you have not confirmed your seat. And if you're confirming your seat, that means that you're clearly not confirming your attendance in the wedding. Bingo. So that's why I want to make the invitation a big deal, because the invitation is the way that it's going to be carried out is almost like a dramatic college, application. It's almost like a you're accepted kind of thing, because there's going to be so much materials in it, like details about clothing and fashion and all these things. And also the lovely photo. I mean, it's going to be a lot in that damn invitation. And I mean, it is pricey, but I want it to be pretty. And I was very adamant on saying the invitations have to be gorgeous and dramatic. Our save the dates were dramatic as fuck. I mean, they were like golden tickets to people when they got them in the mail. I mean, it was a very shimmery gold invitation with the save the date. People thought that was the invitation. I mean, but it was just the fucking save the date was just extra and over the top. But the invitations will be grand and fabulous and full of layers and depth and textures and I like all that kind of stuff. And when is the ever time I'm ever this will be my first and my last wedding. That was a wooden table. So this is these are the things that we do. So part of my plan is that at the wedding shower we would give people who are in attendance at the wedding shower, because we couldn't invite everybody because people were out of town, plus there's still COVID restrictions, so I didn't want to have too many people in this venue, but for the wedding shower. But I think we invite like half of the wedding party to it, and so those people who will come and attend, it's being catered by Miss Dawn. And if you all remember, I was bragging so much about Miss Dawn and her cooking and everything. She's just one of the best black owned caterers in the Philadelphia, Jersey area. Miss Dawn, okay, which she has a lovely company called Details by Dawn. I think it's Details by Miss Dawn. But she's the best in the business. She just caters everything: Christmases, New Year's, June. I mean, she just has a business. She's on Instagram, Details by Dawn, I believe, or Miss Dawn. But she's not hard to find. She's one of the best, like, just private cooks and caterers I have ever had in my life. And she's done Easter during the pandemic for us. She did Thanksgiving. She did Christmas. She did New Year's. She did one of the conventions that Barry did, my fiance did. He had a conference that he put together, a company he used to work for, and she catered that, and it was fabulous. I mean, everything she do is just high level. So she's doing the wedding shower, and she's coming to the wedding. She's not catering the wedding, but she's catering the wedding shower. So I'm super excited about her. But I say all that to say that we'll be giving invitations out to people in person to confirm, and then everyone else will be getting it mailed to them. And based on the mailing situation, all that jazz, that will determine everything else. But I'm super excited nonetheless. And to the people who are breaking up with boos or thinking about to break up with your boo, come to my wedding. Listen, don't listen unless unless those divorce papers or that person has moved out, or the lease has changed, the name on the tenant to change, or they done officially got with somebody else and they putting it on Facebook official. Until some stuff, then guys, I might want you to really seriously consider before you make that emotional call to me or my mans and be like, oh yeah, fuck that person. I'm not with them anymore. I'm not dating them anymore. Blah, blah, blah. Before you do all of that, make sure you do the work to bring it on full swing. That's all I'm trying to say. Because yeah, it's a lot. And mm, 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 mm. So yes, moving along. Just thinking about some of the crazy things that's been going on in that regard. So the city's been reopening. Last week I went out, as you know, I went to a drag tea event at Sofitel. It's going on every Saturday this month of Pride. They just created a new date. It's been sold out, but they just opened a new date up on the 26th of June, and it's been a success. Like the grand kickoff drag high tea, I think it was on Saturday. I went, and it was Brittany Lynn and the Drag Mafia, and Jamarcus and I went, and it was fabulous. It was a good ass time. I can't complain. I thought it was a gorgeous time. Um, we had a good time there. I mean, we just lived our best lives, and we're actually going to another drag brunch this Sunday at the Wayward. Um, and we're going there, and see, I'm putting it out there in the streets. But I think these events are sold out, so it's kind of like just so happen to bump it to Sofitel, huh? But that's happening this weekend, and I'm excited. I'm excited about the vibe, the food, the energy, all that jazz. Um, Yeah, Sofitel was fun. Wayward, I've been to before. I went to Wayward recently with my lawyer's wife, and we had dinner there a couple of weeks ago, and I was really, like, wildly impressed. And I've been mentally like, I need to go back soon. So for me to be able to go is just awesome. So I'm gonna go Sunday for that. And Sofitel one was great. It was a tea, so it wasn't a brunch. It was a high tea. So there was, like, tea sandwiches and nibbles and bites. It was cute. It was cute. The food was cute. But I don't know what was going on, but we had this unlimited mimosas and bubbly situation. So we was definitely getting tipsy. I was definitely a boozy affair, and the drag performers were great. They were like great. I was doing some Instagram stories. If you all had seen them, some of you all saw the stories, but I will be doing the same thing at this event as well because I'm just so wowed out and impressed by the level of drag and appearances and performances and all that stuff. But I'm looking forward to seeing how they turn out at the Wayward. I'm super excited about it. But nonetheless, I went out. I mean, like I said, I went to Philadelphia Stilling. I did happy hour. I went to this new bagel shop in Northern Liberties, which a friend had told me about. And I had this rainbow bagel with this birthday cake cream cheese that was just, it was good. I mean, I'm happy I had a sweet tooth because it was definitely a sweet, bubbly, rainbowy, gay bagel with all of the sugariness and tanginess or whatever of cream cheese, the zest of that. And then with the bagel, which is rainbow, which I don't know what the rainbow, I guess the dye was just dye. It wasn't anything like, I don't know if it gave the bagel itself a special taste, but that birthday cake cream cheese was just, oh my gosh, it was definitely memorable. But something was going on. Like, I don't know. When I went downtown and I was just going through the neighborhood, um, I guess the best scene would be like, I don't know if y'all have seen Medea's family reunion and Cecily Tyson, of course, was in the movie. Shout out to Cecily, R.I.P. Cecily Tyson. I don't know why she did all those Tyler Perry movies, but she was the best thing ever. I loved her in How to Get Away with Murder. Her final scene. I mean, she's been acting for decades. I mean, she was in Sounder, of course, icon, Oscar-nominated actress, and Tony-winning actress. I mean, she's just everything, right? But she was in this. She was on this show. She was on How to Get Away with Murder, but she was in this movie, this Tyler Perry movie, Medea's Family Reunion. And there's a scene where she's with Maya Angelou. I mean, isn't that crazy? Like both of them icons, and like Tyler Perry doesn't deserve. But they were both walking through this family reunion, and they see all types of like mayhem and ratchetness going on with their family, right? People rolling dice, people fighting. The girls are wearing tight clothes and being, I guess, what they would say fresh, but um, there was arguments and there was fighting and there was lewdness and disarray, and this is everything that a Tyler Perry movie gives you, right? It gives you that very biblical sense of like, Sodom and Gomorrah kind of energy. That's what this was giving, right? And so there's this moment where she has enough. Grandma wants to talk. There's that clarion trumpet. There's that signal and sound. And she gives this speech about young ladies holding themselves up with dignity. And it's about respectability. And mind you, I love Cecily Tyson. She was playing a role because clearly if you saw her in How to Get Away with Murder, she was a different type of mama on that movie, on that show. But in this movie, she was very much like, ladies, hold your legs, your legs, hold your heads up with dignity and, drinking and fornicating. I mean, she was giving one of these like high mighty speeches. And Maya Angelou, I think, was giving a poem or reflectiveness. I mean, it was very much that kind of energy. I felt like whatever that energy was, but not with all the self-righteousness, that looking at Philadelphia and how it just desecrated into a bunch of folks just acting up. The lines were long at events. People were arguing. Folks weren't really respecting social distancing or masks, because I guess that's out the window at this point. I mean, the fucking yuppies on their bikes, people just not having any type of level of manners, the arguing, the grifting, which we'll talk about later. All of these things were just happening in the streets. I was in Northern Liberties and saw madness. I was in West Philly in my neighborhood seeing people in Cedar Park cutting up. I was seeing definitely the disrespect of service workers in Center City and outdoors. And I just feel like there's a part of me, and this is just, my thoughts, that I feel like racial dynamics wise, there are some white people that cannot wait to get back out there to show this level of elitism, and not even elitism in the sense of the white supremacy, basically, because it's not necessarily based on wealth or money. Let me be clear, but this ability to feel like they're entitled, I think there is a race to go back to quote unquote normal, as in being an ass, being a complete dick, being a complete nutcase. And there's a desire to return to this very snotty way of treating people. And to be able to do that at a restaurant, to go back to a restaurant and, kind of be just crude and inconsiderate. For people to just go out to events and just be back to their rowdiness and give no fucks. I mean, this desire to go back to this quote unquote normal. And I just was thinking about all the lives that was lost. It was really deep. I'm even feeling it now, but it was just this sense of like, oh shit, a lot of people have died. Like, it wasn't like everybody went on break. No, some people didn't come back. Like, some people didn't come back from break, from that quote unquote, this setback. Some people didn't recover, right? There's so many businesses, man. I think about it like that are not here with us anymore. I mean, even when we was close to the finish line, which we're still not there yet, right? But like this weekend, the city's gonna be really back open. They gave us a little teaser last week, but we're about to be fully out there now, right? There were so many businesses and people close to the finish line, close to that moment, and did not make it. One of the restaurants that I'm the most saddest about, or the saddest about, is Bocosini by Crystal Fox. Her restaurant is gone, Res Ipsa. Some of these restaurants that was owned by the Biden brothers. It's sad. And I think about friends of mine who have lost parents to COVID. Someone at my wedding party, they lost their mother a couple of weeks ago, and it's been really sad. It's I guess some people are calling it bittersweet, but it's just survivor's guilt or remorse about the whole process. Like thinking about going back out. I am somebody who's going back out, as you know. Now, I mean, last week I was kind of, my mindset was different once I went back out. Like I was already going out slowly but surely, but what I thought I was gonna feel when I went out versus what I felt when I went out was just different. And I think a lot of people are not ready to acknowledge that this shit is not about to be easy. Not the reopening part, but we've been talking so much about physical reopenings and people going back and eating. And we've been talking about this on a very capitalistic economic level. But we have not really unpacked the emotional toil and the social and the separation and the like. I mean, I've always worked for myself in most of my career. And, I enjoy working from home because I just don't like people. No, I'm joking. But I just will say this. I like controlling when I can see people for the most part. I feel like working for myself and working at home allows me to control the amount of interactions I can have with people because being around people can be distracting as fuck. Distracting to your work, your creative flow, your meditation. I feel like I can deep think and meditate and just ponder or nap or reflect more from working by myself than or working from home than I would if I was in office environment because you're always got to be quote unquote on. And imagine doing that shit for like 10, 20 years. And imagine having a break from that and then reflecting. And in this pandemic puts you in a position where not only do you get to reflect and have space, but you also have to grieve and mourn. So you're not really having a vacation or extended snow day. And yet companies and places are still acting like you was on break and you was chilling when you was actually probably having to bury someone. And you was also probably grieving and also going through all kinds of existential questions about your life, what you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing that you never had to think about when you was on the clock. And that, I think, has been something that in my own space, I haven't had to think about as much, but I'm realizing for my friends and for others around me that that's creating the hesitance for why they are still reluctant to go back out. Because I was fortunate enough not to have lost any immediate family members from COVID. Like I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful that that continues to be the case. That is a wooden table. But I think for me, it's just been realizing that going back out has meant that I've had to confront questions that I necessarily not want to. Not questions about myself, but just realizing other people are going to want to share their experiences, their losses, their hardships, their whatever job they might have changed, or maybe they've quit jobs. I've seen people change jobs, right? And I'm so fucking sick of this narrative of companies and people saying people don't want to go back to work, people don't want to work. I'm sorry, nobody want to work for you. Nobody wants to work and do your type of work. Because some people during this pandemic read books about anti-racism and anti-capitalism and exploitation and social justice. And they began to think about how that stuff, permeates their current lifestyle and their current thought processes, right? They begin to process and say to themselves, oh shit, I've been exploited by the man and I didn't even know it. I actually deserve better than this job. I actually am going to learn a new trade this summer or this pandemic. I'm actually going to go back to school. I'm actually going to just change my entire drive in my job altogether because this work isn't serving me like I thought it did. And a lot of people really began to process the complicity they had with these jobs, right? Like maybe the job was great, but their boss was a racist and a sexist and they used to tolerate it. And now they realize, actually, I don't want to work with this person because this person is a problem, right? So there's a lot of things that has happened and we have not really begun to unpack it because we're still going through it. And there's going to be a reckoning. There will be a reckoning. There's going to be a reckoning. We are currently in this weird patch-up relationship with the pandemic and restrictions and lifts and things where our heads are kind of are in a space of like, right now, let's just get people vaccinated. Let's just, get people to fuck moving and let's keep grooving. Like there's that energy, right? That's the energy that we're at right now. We're just trying to push through. We don't really have time to, at this moment, ponder all those things. But eventually we're going to crack. Eventually society is going to have a breakdown about all of this. And it's coming. Like I believe there will be. We're seeing it slightly with the job economy, but people are really about to say, fuck all of this. And there might be another uprising, maybe not centered around, race will be definitely in the mix, but it wouldn't be centered on just racial justice, but economic justice and a whole overhaul of the entire economic system. I can see it happening. Remember this podcast episode. And if it goes down, remember in sight that it was episode 22, okay, of Ernestly Speaking that talked about this. Because I have a feeling that this isn't over. Right now, we're just going through the honeymoon phase or the engagement phase, actually. The honeymoon phase hasn't come yet. The honeymoon phase and the wedding, it's coming, right? But we're in this engagement phase where there is moments of I propose to you, where our governors and mayors and the president saying, go back out and play. And everyone's like, I'm in love. And we're going to have a big old wedding. It's going to be some big old celebrations and some returns to quote unquote normal. And then we're going to have the honeymoon era where everyone's going to be just, grooving and the economy is going to be booming again. There's about to be a big, huge economic boom. It's going to come, right? And then we're going to hit that moment after that, I think, where PTSD that hasn't already resurfaced, that trauma and stigma, the illusion of prosperity will hit. And there will be some moments. And I think job market, if it doesn't happen, it's going to come. But right now, we're We can't think about all that. So I'm just being a foreseer into the future. But I predict and I forecast that there will be some type of reckoning. And hopefully by then, some smart minds are going to be creating ways to facilitate that and address that. I hope. I hope. But I'm telling you, I have definitely been very reflective. I've been having survivor's guilt cases of it. I mean, I'm not beating myself up. I'm not depressed. Let me just be clear. But, I'm being remorseful. And I don't need checkups or the check-ins on it. It's just one of those things where we just, give people their space to think and reflect. And I'm definitely doing that. And I hope you all are in your own way. Some of you all have mailed me and written to me about family members with COVID or family members who've argued about getting vaccinated, debating vaccinations and all of that stuff. And so I know it's taking a toll on everybody in various ways, but definitely it's impacting us. We can't all act like the pandemic has been nothing but fabulous. I mean, there's been people that's messaged me and it's like, oh my goodness, you're the one person I know that's been like, excelling during the pandemic and it's goals and it's this. And it's like, listen, yeah, I have been very blessed and highly favored during this entire pandemic. But I still have moments where I think about the people I can't celebrate that with, the companies and places. Like, I mean, I was planning to have my recital dinner at Bocosini. I was considering Bocosini and Res Ipsa, and both of them are closed now. So there's places I would have loved to celebrate. There's people I would have loved to meet again. I would have loved to meet Kevin Parker again. And Miss Tootsie's and Kevin Parker's Reading Terminal Place, they're both closed now. They were institutions. They were institutions in Black food and culinary eating in Philadelphia, and they're gone. And he's gone. And I knew him, and he was a Black gay man that was killing the kitchen and the food industry. And it's sad. It's sad. So it's a lot I have to think about. And, everybody, you don't know if they die from COVID, but, deaths are still happening outside of COVID. But it's just been a time. So, take that time. I am definitely taking that time. I'm talking to people. I'm reflecting. Yeah, it's just, been something to think about. And I tell people, like, just go through your emotions. Go through your emotions. Go through your emotions. Go through your emotions and your emotions. Persist nonetheless. But go through it. So, Pride Month has been going on, and you all have been hitting me up about the drama of last week's episode. Let me just say this. Last week's episode, okay, I did not realize that so many of you were going to be that damn nosy to the point that folks were asking me, can I just skip the part where you start talking about the oral history of Pride? And normally I would feel disrespected because I think this podcast is popping from beginning to end. Okay, from the moment of the dun, dun, you're now listening to the bum, 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 when it ends. Okay, the outro. And for those new listeners, that instrumental beat is from my bestie, Jamarcus Henderson, who is a recording artist. He's a health practitioner, ambassador for Penn Medicine by day, and he's an incredible musician and producer by night. Okay? He made that beat. That beat is actually to a song called Rodeo, which is off of his most recent record that came out 2 years ago called Atonement. And it's on Spotify, Apple, Google Play, Google Pop. I mean, it's on all of the streaming places, including Tidal. His music is all over the apps. So you can easily find his music. But it's called Atonement by Jamarcus Henderson. And the song is called Rodeo. And this instrumental to that song is on is the intro for Ernestly Speaking. So that beat, yes. My friends always have their hands in my creative projects in some type of way. And so, yes, that's his fingerprints on this podcast and everything. But I set out to say, people were like asking me. So I will tell you, if you're nosy enough, if you care enough, the previous episode, episode 21, is that episode where I talk about the Office of LGBT Affairs, Amber Hikes, the flag, how the flag got the black and brown stripes, all the drama behind the scenes, all of that pride drama. It is at the 50th mark of episode 21. So if you're listening to this podcast, once you finish this lovely episode, go back to the episode, skip the 50 mark, and be nosy and messy and listen to it. But that being said, so many of you all have reached out to me from across the country. Across the country. Baltimore, San Francisco, Vegas, of course, New York, messaging me about that episode. Arizona, telling me that you knew Amber, you heard about her, you didn't know what you knew. And all I got to say is, listen, I told my side of the story. I said what needed to be said. I gave my opinion. As you can see, she hasn't said anything. She most likely won't. Sometimes when you tell the truth and shame the devil hides, as they should. So, that was that on that. As far as Pride Month goes, I've been really embracing my rainbow love for rainbows. Some of you are getting on my nerves though. Some of the allies, I have to keep it 100. Some of the allies have been getting on my nerves around Pride Month. Like some of y'all, I'm like, listen, I get it, right? You love rainbows and you want to express this love for gay things. Gay yourself out. But what's important is that even if you're in that zone, even if that's how you're feeling, or whatever the case might be mindful of the others, the people like myself. Be considerate, be thoughtful, use your brain, don't overdo it. Overdoing it as in be thoughtful of other people and their feelings and not take up too much space. One of the things that's been annoying is that I have heard friends tell me that there have been straight people asking them, and let me be clear, cishet people, because not all straight people are cisgender. Think about it. But there's been cishet folks who've come up and have said things like, hey, happy Pride. And first mistake, but whatever. Happy Pride, says that person. And then LGBTQI person goes, thanks. What's up? And then they go, I'm really feeling the spirit. Do you know any places I can go to celebrate Pride? You know any gay bars I should go to? Do you know any restaurants that are doing Pride specials? Where can I get that cool rainbow t-shirt? Just stop. Just go. Yeah, so that's been happening. And I think what goes on often is that it's the experience that Black people go through and other groups of communities, marginalized communities go through. It's like, you want the love, but you don't want it that way. And it's hard because if you tell people how you want to be loved, then people think you're ungrateful. And, if you tell people, hey, this is not it, and you say that, then people get in their feelings about you and everything else that's going on, and they get moody. And it's really difficult sometimes when you're trying to, one, declare your vibes, declare your mood, like put your foot down, and then at the same time having to go from there to declaring everything else. Like, it's so hard sometimes, like having to feel like, oh shit, I don't want to be the worst person by kind of ignoring this person, but at the same time, can you get a fucking grip? Can you get fucking Google? Can you use the Google? Can you map it out? Can you help yourself out? God damn it! Must I do everything? Everything? Goodness. So sometimes I feel that way as a Black person, like as a queer person, as someone walking all these identities. I sometimes feel like I have to, be super accommodating to people about stuff like that, um, because it's a lot. And I think sometimes it's hard and frustrating because how do I put this? I'm tired of having to work double time. I'm gay as hell. It's hard for me to sometimes find some of these pride events that I like. And now you asked me to curate your list when Philadelphia Magazine and already gave y'all a list of 20 pride things to do. Ha ha ha. Look it up or get the subscription if you hit the paywall. There's tons of events with Google. But you know what I think? I think that there are people that literally enter these spaces that like to project. So, like, I wonder to the straight people, the cishet people that messaged me, right, and asked me about pride, were you doing that because you really wanted to know, or was you doing that because you thought I was going to view you in a way that was less cringy because you asked me? Well, you did the complete opposite. Like, I've seen a lot of people do that. Like, I've seen white people, like, will go up to me or my friends that are black and just do the fucking most, like, put on a whole performance. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Black Lives Matter. I got one of those T-shirts. Oh my God, have you seen 13th? Like Ava DuVernay is like such a great filmmaker. I'm so touched by her. Oh my goodness, I read Ta-Nehisi Coates. Oh my God, it's so good. He's such a great writer. He's not really that good. He's overrated, but he's such a good writer. I love his writing. It's only one book. His other books are not that good. His writing is mediocre at best, except for the reparations piece. Yes, but I love his writing. I think he's fabulous. He's such a great writer. Oh my gosh. When I read him, Ernest, I think of you. Don't fucking ever say that in your life. So I have had these experiences where I've been, where I've seen people put on a performance. And when you're both black and gay, you get these performances from everybody. Okay? Oh my God. Pride Month has been nothing but a bunch of girls specifically being like, yes, love is love. This is giving me life. Live, work, pose. I get all of it. I get all of it. And there's some people, let me just say, I know there are some fucking people, disclaimer, that means well, that really are coming from a place of trying to learn, understand. But there's also people that are highly performative as fuck, and people can see right through it. And I just want to just say, this Pride Month, because we still, or what, we're 1/3 into Pride Month already. This month is going so fucking fast. We're 1 month into Pride Month already, but I would say that we do have, how do I describe this? 2/3 left, 20 more days left, right? And so there's some time for you, as cishet people, to get your act together. You got some time to reverse the course. You fucked up the first third of the month. Now get on your feet and get the fuck moving. Period. So it's a lot of that's going on. And I think that one of the things that's been really interesting has been people who have not understood the difference, who have not been able to separate it. But you got time. You got time to get your shit together. And it's crazy. It's crazy. Ooh, this is very lemony. So, speaking of people who don't have time, and I knew we were going to get to this point eventually. I knew it. We're in the, quarter 3 now. We're halfway in a year, because the year is going by motherfucking fast. We're at that 6-month motherfucking mark, right? Yes. Let's talk about the Democrats. The dirty Democrats. So, I don't know what the fuck is going on this month. But Joe Biden, okay, Kamala then came back. See, I told y'all Kamala was resting, but she said, like, look, Kim, she's back with the jump off. Okay, Kamala said, I'm ready to show my ass. It's time for my spotlight. Because she was doing pretty chill these couple of months. I strategically think that the White House was like, you know what? It's Joe season. Joe got to let people know that he's not senile, which is good because he's not. But Joe had to let people know that he was, that all that Sleepy Joe shit was bullshit, that he is well rested and everything. And he is. Oh, he is. And fucking it up. Yes, he is. In some ways, okay, progressively speaking, I'm saying progressively speaking that he's fucking it up. And not necessarily in a good way. But of course, he's a whole lot better. Let me say that because you're going to get, I want to hear your fucking mouths. He is way better than Donald Trump. But so is my left fucking foot. And other people that are better than George W. Bush? I'm sorry, Donald Trump? Shit. Get them confused because everyone thinks that there could be some false equivalencies between George W. Bush and Trump. Both were trash. Just fun reminder. Thought I would remind you all this today. But that being said, I don't know. Kamala has come back. I don't know if you all have been seeing about this Lester Holt interview, right? Lester Holt, king of broadcast television, that Lester Holt, okay? Emmy winner, Edward R. Murrow winner, NABJ winning journalist, Lester Holt. Listen, Lester Holt don't come to play, okay? I know people have had their thoughts about him in the past and all this. He was a registered Republican shit. Whatever. The brother was on fire. He interviewed Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, in this really, really one-on-one interview that is juicy. And he's asking her about them borders. Because now she's supposed to be taking the lead, I guess, on the White House end of really focusing on border control and all these issues. And she is just saying all kinds of things. This first trip abroad, okay, her foreign policy child is a little shaky. First of all, there's no such thing as borders on stolen land. The United States is stolen. It is stolen. This land is stolen from indigenous people. And I'm going to say something real quick, just a little sidebar, because I am going to digress a little bit. White people, can y'all stop saying BIPOC, 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 that black, indigenous, people of color? Can y'all stop with this term? Because let me be real with you. When I look at a lot of programs that are supposed to be BIPOC focused, you really are not including indigenous people. They're not being represented. You can't find them. And oftentimes, the truth of the matter is that you just don't want to say black. Just say black. Just say black. You could just say black. Because trying to say BIPOC to try to, make sure that the most marginalized of the people of color group is acknowledged, you're not including indigenous people. You're not shouting out indigenous organizations. You're not putting them on your panels. You say you're having a BIPOC panel and it's all black, and you don't want to say black because for whatever reason, people just don't want to just say the word black. Black, blackity black. Okay? With a capital B. Bitch. Period. I think if you're focused on black and indigenous people, include them. Like, actually include them. And if you're not including indigenous people and it's just a black-led event or you're looking for black people, then focus on black people and just say the word black. But I really hate this erasure. Every time I turn around, there's always this erasure of just saying what needs to be said. So now we say BIPOC, but there's no indigenous people included or thought of reference or named. But we keep using that term. Why? Just use black. Just say black people. Just say this. We want to focus on black people for this event because black people are marginalized. But there's always this need to always insert other groups and people as a way to try to reduce the blackness, which is AKA the anti-blackness of it all. And I'm fine if people are really serious about black and indigenous people because we were the original colonized people of this country. We are the people who've been exploited by our labor or our land and our tillage. It's real, right? And anti-blackness, is within all of that. But let's be clear about that. The problem is that I see people oftentimes talk about indigenous people, but it's almost done in this very imaginary way because they don't know any people. Well, we know that in Philadelphia, we are on stolen land. There are tribes, indigenous tribes that have went through Philadelphia and land across. But no one talks about that. No one writes about that. Listen, I can't write about everything. If I had deep sources that was interested in trying to formulate that conversation, I would prefer an indigenous writer Do I know any in Philadelphia at this moment? No, sadly I don't. That's how fucked up diversity inclusion is in Philadelphia. I could barely find black writers to write about some of the issues in Philadelphia themselves because of how racist these editors are and these newsrooms are. I'm just keeping it 100. That being said, if you're not going to be serious about including indigenous people to the table, white people specifically with your programming, stop saying BIPOC. Stop saying BIPOC or whatever the acronyms are. I'm so sick of all these fucking acronyms. DEI. I mean, I don't mind diversity, equity, inclusion because D&I was just mediocre as fuck, but the equity is was popping. But I'm tired of all of the performativeness. I'm really tired of it, and it's just every year, it's always a new term, a new word, a new phrase. And as somebody who's always in these conversations, y'all, even I can't even keep up sometimes. Ask me if I know what the current updated abbreviations and terminology for LGBTQIA. I think it's LGBTQIAA plus plus. I don't know if the plus is because there's more acronyms that are not included, but there's a lot going on. And I respect all of those communities, by all means. But like at some point, we just have to. I just need white people to stop leading these conversations. I just need them to stop dictating language. I would like to see actual marginalized communities within these movements that are not the most privileged be centered and describing how we move forward on some of these talks. Because if I leave it in the hands of cishet white people or white people that are gay, that are male, they will always lean towards their own personal preferences where they can feel like they are in charge or they feel woke about something. And I'm tired of the performativeness. So if you're not serious about actually finding indigenous people, just say black. Just say black. On behalf of black people, we say thank you. On behalf of indigenous people that are black, that are within those spaces, they're probably going to say fuck you. I don't know. I'm not indigenous, but I would imagine them saying fuck you for these performative gestures. I just can only imagine. So, but then y'all want to celebrate Columbus Day. Fuck out of here. So, I say all that to say that Kamala, okay, has been running around here talking about borders. And she's been out here showing her ass. Okay? Kamala has been out here showing her ass, y'all. There's no other nicer way to say it. I mean, Kamala has been cutting up. Okay? And people are talking about it. Like, people are not here for some of her stuff. I mean, she's talking about trying to get to the root causes of immigration, which people are calling a cop-out. I mean, people are getting into some of this stuff. You know, the immigration crisis was always a hot mess, okay? And to be quite honest, she's making it hotter and messier. I mean, there's a really great piece in the Daily Beast by Ruben Navarrete Jr., who says basically that all this root causes immigration talk by Kamala Harris is a cop-out. And she literally said the infamous "do not come." She told people do not come at a press conference in Guatemala City. Okay? And everybody's pissed off at her. Okay? She told them do not come. Talking about these borders. I want to quote her because I want to make sure you all know. She said, I want to be clear, quote, I want to be clear to folks in the region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border. Do not come. Do not come. With Guatemalan President Alejandro Giamatti. She said this. She said this. And it's very clear what her energy is. And she's not making the conversation around immigration any better than what it is. So, back to Lester Holt in his great interview. He asked her, when was she going to the border? Kamala's response becomes, we're going to the border. I'll go to the border. I don't know when, but I will be going. And it's very much like, we've been to the border talking about the Biden administration. And he's pressing her on this. And she's like, oh, well, I haven't been to Europe. I'm sorry. Wait, what? She's like, I haven't been to Europe either. So trying to make a point that she hasn't been other places because he told her, but you haven't been to the border. and just kept reiterating, we've been to the border, and trying to say she doesn't understand what this question is about. And she was very annoyed. And you could tell by her energy and her body language and her nervous, uncomfortable laughter that she clearly was not happy. But I will say this. Black activists and organizers have tried to tell you all last year when she was running to watch out for her, because what she was given during the time when she was a candidate and who she is as an executive officer in power are two different things. Okay, you all are getting law enforcement. Y'all getting Kamala Harris has returned, y'all. I know she got her little K clan, her little K squad, or whatever they call themselves. Listen, these conversations around this border shit, her stance on immigration, this K hive, whatever y'all are, let me tell y'all something. Y'all don't want it with me. I don't play with kids. I will block, ban, and keep it moving, okay? Let me tell you something. Your favorite cop is out here telling people do not come to the United States. And no, this is the same person that touted being of color and immigrant backgrounds, and this is the message she's sending out there to the world. And I mean, one would argue she's no different than Obama on this issue, even though Obama was smiling in your face, but then pushed the policy a certain type of way. I mean, come on. And she's saying stuff like, we will discourage illegal migration. The United States will continue to enforce our laws and secure our border. If you come to our border, I believe you will be turned back. Really? Really? Do you not know anything about the process of seeking refugee status in the United States? That is legal, actually. And I'm not even a lawyer. But she is. She went to Stanford Law School. She should fucking know this, okay? I mean, really? People should not be immediately turned back. I mean, they really should not be unless they've had a hearing on their claim of asylum. Like, that is actually something that you're supposed to do. But the way she's talking, she's been drinking some of this. I don't know. I don't know if this is a ploy to appeal to moderates, and because why are we? But I continue because I have to just keep continuing with the fuckery that's been happening. So speaking of other Democrats that's been fucking up, Senator Joe Manchin, I keep calling him Manchin, fuck his name, Manchin, what the fuck his name is, and Kristen Sinema is basically a hot ass mess. My good friend David A. Love, who is a great journalist, I love his work. He's got a new job at Rutgers. Shout out to you if you listen to the podcast. He wrote a great piece for the Griot talking about how these people are threats to Black Americans. Because we as Black voters, we voted for Democrats. We voted across the board. We showed up, and these white moderates are over here trying to get bipartisanship with white nationalists. How does that work? How does that work? How does that make any sense? And of course, Senator Joe Manchin is in West Virginia. He's a senator in West Virginia, and Kirsten, I think it's Kirsten Sinema is a Democrat in Arizona. She's a senator in Arizona. I just am over both of them because they're really doing a lot of work. They're trying to remove the filibuster, which is a Senate rule that is nowhere in the Constitution, okay? And it argues and requires 60 votes to pass a bill. We have to remove the filibuster because the filibuster is currently making it harder for votes to get passed, okay? They use this. Okay, let's look at the history. White supremacists, as mentioned in other pieces and also by Love, they've used this as a way to keep slavery going, to push anti-lynching, to try to kill anti-lynching legislation, and then really just fuck over civil rights as a whole. And this filibuster, right, because people have been trying to figure out what the filibuster is, it allows for white minority rule by Republicans to roadblock any type of major legislation needs to protect Black Americans. It is literally bullshit. And these people think they're moderates trying to uphold this idea of bipartisanship. Bipartisanship is dead. Bipartisanship died years ago. And to be quite honest, I'm so sick of this word bipartisanship. A friend actually asked me what was a word that annoys me the most, that makes me judge people when I hear people say it. I should have said bipartisanship. My answer was objectively. Objectively. I hate when people say objectively because it doesn't fucking exist. Objectivity does not fucking exist in any fucking thing, especially journalism. Fuck out of here. But I hate that word. But I also hate this word too, bipartisanship. I actually need to go and tell my homegirl Sarita, actually, I like scratch that bipartisanship and fucking objectivity. Like, I hate both of those words. No words. When I hear the word bipartisanship, I'm just like, oh, this motherfucker's stupid. Move along. Even Biden is throwing away bipartisanship on doing stuff like focusing on infrastructure. He's been trying to reduce the damn thing. It was $1 trillion. He's been taking off $1 billion or whatever the hell it is reduced it from $1 trillion. People are still wanting more money to be, less money to be spent. It's nuts. It's nuts. Like, this is crazy. But we do need to get these roads together and our infrastructure together. But this is a lot. But anyway, these two don't want the filibuster to go away. Manchin says he will not support the quote-unquote the For the People Act, which is basically a comprehensive election reform package that would really do a lot to protect voter rights, federal elections, and reduce the influence of money in politics and stop voter suppression in the United States, right? A lot of people love it. Voters love it. And even some Republicans are in support of it. But of course, Mr. Bipartisan, Joe Manchin, says that he will vote against it because no senators, the Republican senators, support it. And the right to vote, he believes, has become politicized. He said, quote, I believe that partisan voting legislation will destroy the already weakening binds of our democracy. And for that reason, I will vote against the For the People Act. Furthermore, I will not vote to weaken or eliminate the filibuster. You are a piece of shit. You are a piece of shit. You're a piece of shit. Piece of shit. Like, it's just a lot of this bipartisan desire to fit in. Kirsten Sinema did not support the $15 minimum wage. I mean, they're very interested. I mean, they really think they're bringing something different to the table. There's always this energy. But you know what? We know this, okay? Because Dr. King told us about white moderates, okay? He described them as, quote, he said, the white moderate is more devoted to order than to justice. And they paternalistically feels he can set the timetable for another man's freedom. Joe Messin, y'all. That is what Dr. Martin King said about the white moderate. And this was, of course, decades before Joe Messin got in this position. So just look at what these type of people are doing to us. Look what they represent. Look what type of people they are. The trash. And you wonder why people don't vote. Or you wonder why people are very cynical about voting. You wonder why black people are always, the conversation always, black people saved us. Thank you, black voters. Thank you, voters of color, yada, yada, yada. And then we have to turn around and fight hard for the very laws that will actually make our lives better, even though you had people that ran for office that promised all of these opportunities and benefits for us, and yet the same party that motherfuckers keep showing loyalty to continue to show disloyalty. And let me be clear. Y'all heard what I said last week's episode. I am not asking people to convert to the Republican Party. But what I am asking people to do is I'm asking people to use their heads. I'm asking people to vote these people out. I'm asking for people to come up with better options. If you could vote Democrats in, take the trash, old ass, whack ass Democrats out and replace them for better options. That's all you have to do across the board. Because clearly Republicans are not the option. And I mean, my tolerance for Democrats are coming to a screeching halt. Don't know what the hell is going on, but get it done. Get it done. So, look like I'm coming to some interesting things. I have noticed this recently, and I've noticed this for a while. But there has been a culture, y'all, of grifting. And listen, grifting has been around for a minute, okay? There's a great movie that came out in the 90s that Annette Bening, who's an incredible actress, is nominated for Best Supporting Actress for a performance in a movie called The Grifters. It came out in the 90s, or I think 1992 or something like that. Over 25 years ago. Maybe, yeah. The Grifters. Iconic old movie. Go watch it. Not old. I mean, I was born in 91. But to some people, it might be old. Who knows? But the movie is like close to 30 years old. Annette Bening is in it. She's fabulous in her role. But the movie, The Grifters and Grifting, these acts, is basically people that basically are trying to sell you wolf tickets. People that are oftentimes finding new ways and appeals to booster themselves up, to try to sell something to you, to try to make money, to try to get over you, to try to profit. For those who hear this term, because I know a lot of people don't, I wouldn't say a lot of people, I've noticed people don't know what grifting is, and people are always asking me, what is grifting? And grifting is, quote, engage in petty or small scale swindling. How long have you been grifting? A grifter is a con artist, someone who obtains money by swindling or tricking others. Okay, someone says, if there's one type of person you don't want to trust, it's a grifter. Someone who cheats others out of money. Grifters are known as shystlers, defrauders, gougers, scammers, swindlers, and flim-flam men. Selling a bridge and starting a Ponzi scheme are things a grifter might do. Selling a bridge, right? So these are the things. So this is kind of like that, right? But on social media influencing, right, grifting doesn't have to be extremes, right? Like, I personally believe that Sean King is a grifter. I think that Tamika Mallory, does grifting. These are my opinions, people. Opinions. I think that, Jay Morrison and some of the things he talked around financial literacy and some of the work he's done on others, I think they appear to be like grifting. These are my opinions, right? I think that Nehemiah Davis is grifting. These are my opinions. Full disclosure. These are my opinions. That's what I think. And I believe that we have entered a situation on social media where there are people who do this all the time, and there's no accountability. There's no accountability with people who do not take the time to really unpack that what they're doing is going to negatively impact people. And sometimes people know, right? And they just don't give a fuck. So I'm not trying to empathize with grifters at all. But with social media grifting, it's become a thing where you see people that pose a certain type of way. And it could be imposter syndrome that drives this, y'all. It could be a lot of different things. But what's happening is they're finding ways to try to get money. And it's always centered around money at the end of the day. Like, the key to a grifter is money. So if this person is just telling you to go have a nice day or something, that doesn't make them a comment in this conversation. But money is oftentimes tied to it. That in the pursuit of trying to get a following or get something, it's always rooted in some type of ordeal where they want you to fund something or pay for something that isn't of merit or value. That has something of substance. Oftentimes, it's a driver to something else that they're doing, and they're trying to sell you those wolf tickets or those belief systems. And there's a lot of people that have done this for years, and people call it inspirational, motivational, but the grifting can start young. I know there's a young man who walks around talking about how he has a clothing business, and his clothing business might be legit, but now he's trying to teach people how to make millions and be inspired, and he's got these books and kits. That's a grift. What the fuck you know about teaching people how to be entrepreneurs at 15? Like, teaching people, right? Yeah, sure, you may have made that money. You may have done some good things, but to try to create an entire monetary financial package around it, that's a grift. And logically, it did come initially from you as an idea. I mean, by all means, children can come up with the ideas, but sometimes I see stage moms and stage dads, relatives and family members that try to basically grift their children. They use their children, they use their mentees and whomever as ways to profit. So even if the person doesn't know what they're doing, there's people behind them that is using their image and likeliness to basically push the narrative, to push the product, to push the grift. And that's a thing that people are doing. It's happening. I'm seeing people do it with their kids on social media. I'm seeing this happen as a pattern. And people was asking me for a long time, because I do a lot of stories and exposés and commentary on frauds and people who are doing shit like that. And folks have always asked me, why do you think this has become a bigger issue recently, or at least it appears to be? I think because we're during the pandemic, right? You see PPE loans, you see people doing defrauding on that, you see people that are out of work, you see people that are not working and they want to switch industries, and you see this culture around this narrative of startups and entrepreneurship and big tech and bosses and bossing up and leveling up. And a lot of people are have desires to do that, and there's nothing wrong with that, people. The problem is that you have folks that are not actually legit. They're not educated in the realms in which they need to be. They don't have the rightful credentials. They're overselling and overhyping what they can actually do versus what they really do. And who gets fucked over by this? Taxpayers, people, regular people, families, parents, women, single parents, folks that are just out here in desperate and dire straits. The most marginalized people especially get fucked over by these types of scams. Yeah, you hear about the Bernie Madoffs of the world, but there's a lot of people who are getting fucked over in their own communities, in their own hoods, by people that try to teach them, like I said, get rich quick schemes, tax schemes, all types of shit. And I just see a lot of, now people trying to do cryptocurrency and trying to get people to do that shit. And I'm not saying that cryptocurrency and all that does not matter. I'm just personally hype about it myself. But I know there are people that are trying to fake people into Forex trading and this type of stuff, and they don't know what the fuck they're doing. All I gotta say is this. Real millionaires are not going to be teaching you how to be a millionaire in ways that they were not necessarily millionaires. They're not going to teach you how to get $1 million based off of tricks and scams. Most real wealthy people, this is the observation, often project values and ideology around values and best practices versus trying to shift the conversation into instant gratification. Because to be quite honest with you, most of these millionaires that did not come from money already did not instantly become rich based off of some little actions or tactics or things. A lot of times it's a matter of networking. It's a matter of being at the right place at the right time. A lot of this shit is circumstantial. It's not actually, like, there are people that look at me, and I get it, right? They look at me and say, look at my career, and they say, oh, Ernest, how did you get like this? Or how did you do this? Or I'm trying to be like you, as if I have a how-to book. A lot of this shit is, no shade, but it's just fucking perseverance. But it's not just perseverance. It's also like, look, I did a lot of educating myself, and I'm not just talking about college education, but I did a lot of reading. I did a lot of research into my career. I studied the greats. I looked at what they did. I did a lot of studying and practice, y'all. That's the best way I describe it. I did a lot of writing. I did a lot of learning. I took workshops. I went to college. If you don't want to go to college, you got to learn from some type of way. If it's workshops, whether it's talking to practitioners in the field, observational study, but you got to do all of these types of things. Like, you just don't wake up one day and just shoot your shot somewhere and someone gives you a job. Listen, that can happen to some people, but that's not the longevity win, right? That's not the given, right? I had to intern. I had to work under different people. I had to learn from other people. You don't wake up a boss just by waking up a boss. I feel like there's a lot of people out here that says, I'm going to teach my child how to be an entrepreneur and be a boss so they don't have to work for somebody. Actually, working under someone can teach you things about how not to treat other people when you work for them, quite frankly. I think that, in many ways, it's important to learn how to be in various positions in the field, in the industry. I know what that's like. I was the coffee boy. I was the newspaper router. I did that. I did give out newspapers when I was little. I did passing out newspapers to people. I wrote articles. I did editing. I interned at places. I did different types of internships. Everything I did wasn't always glamorous work. But I learned different types of trades, and that made me better in the field so that now I could do it. So listen, that may not be everybody's journey. Maybe people don't care about investing much time. But if you're going to ask me how to succeed or how I did what I did, I'm telling you, this is my journey. And listen, if you want to know, I'm telling you, because it wasn't easy. It wasn't a Penn degree. A lot of people go to Penn and get degrees, and I was one of those people, and I'm proud of having a Penn degree. It is what it is. But to simply say, oh, that's because you got a Penn degree. There are a lot of people who have Penn degrees that have aspired to do journalism and do media work, and guess what? You don't know who they are, most of those people. Some of those people decided to just, say quit, fuck it, I'm going to law school, because they did not have the type of hustle that was required for journalism that comes with some of the, instant gratification that comes from getting a law degree and going to a law firm or working for a Fortune 500 company or doing OCR, which is on campus recruitment for people who know what that is, and just getting a quick job and getting a salary and just automatically working, right? My journey was very different. And a lot of people's journeys are that are in entrepreneurial spaces. There are people in startup companies that have never had to think about anything else because daddy had some money in the bank account for them. They had a trust fund. They had something that was seed money to go to their project. They knew somebody who had access to angel donors that could start this shit. I didn't have that for my business. My business was my money. Okay, it was money that I got from teaching part-time and freelancing a little bit that I put aside, and I just put that money there with a wing and a prayer and put some money in that bank account and started. And listen, that was my experience. And then from there, I here we are on the Forbes list, right? But that's what I have to do. And so people look at what I got going on. I'm telling them, listen, it ain't easy. First, you got to put 10 years on that shit. Then you got to add racism. Then you got to add homophobia. Then you got to add, self-doubt, imposter syndrome. Then you got to add perseverance. Then you got to add some determination. Then you got to add chance and circumstance, because sometimes some shit just fell on my fucking lap. Y'all, I was just blessed. But again, it was classical training, education, master's degree. It's work. It's fucking work. And grifters don't know what the fuck that shit look like, because grifters would rather put so much money and energy. Okay, they would rather put so much fucking money and energy into the performance that they would not actually take the time to really rethink or consider what else they could do to actually build their credibility and focus on their longevity. So to grifters, I say sayonara. For real, for real. So there's that. All right. Now, speaking of scandals and things, you all messaged me yesterday and during the podcast about my last episode. I talked about a man named Darius Cooks. And someone said to me, well, bet you won't say nothing about Philadelphia. Philadelphia got a bad cook. And I was like, who? Of course I knew who they were talking about. They were talking about Sadia Schuler, who has a restaurant that has become infamous and famous and notorious and glamorous called Country Cooking. And they asked me what was my thoughts about country cooking. And at first I was like, the saying goes, don't mess with Saud. Okay, don't, y'all see it, right? I saw it. I smelled it. I've seen it. The food. If it's called food. And I have a review. I do have a review about it. I mean, so first of all, let me back this up. Sadia Schuler is Philadelphia royalty in the interwebs, in the hood. The hood knows Sadia, and the Sadia knows the hood. Okay, her family is known in these streets for various things. She gave her son the most glamorous, prom send-off ever. I mean, queen of giving a prom, honey. She had the camels out. This was a couple years ago. She even had a Quran cake, which was a little sacrilegious, a little problematic, very problematic that she had a cake as a Quran. But nonetheless, she had camels, she had sand, she had the whole crowd. His send-off was iconic. And then she came back again and did a Black Panther event for the kids and did another one for some people. I mean, she was rolling the dough. It became national news. This was like 4 years ago. I wrote about this for NBC News, actually. I did an op-ed about defending her. I actually defended Sadia Schuler's decision to have that camel prom. She was known as the camel prom mom. But, as you know, camel prom mom had fell into some hard times, because what we found out from that controversy, this was, let me be clear, this was this summer, let me be clear. This was around this time, around June, summer of 2017. Early June, late May, whatever, around prom, she spent $25,000, It had she had a live camel, a living camel with a Lambo. And she went all the way out for her son with $25,000 worth of Dubai-themed sets. So she had a bunch of stuff that she did that was like crazy for her son. And it was a lot. It was a lot. She was showing off on her Instagram It was tons of people. They had a whole design. The son even felt like things were over the top. He was happy about it. Um, and it was a lot. I mean, it was multiple dates. Apparently, his girlfriend, her son's girlfriend at the time, was the third and last date, and he called her the main event, and she apparently didn't mind him saying that. But he had multiple girls, lots of food. They had a Quran cake. Um, it was a lot going on. You know what I'm saying? And she was spending. A lot of people criticized at that time for spending a lot of money, thinking that was over the top. But she claimed that her son had 3.8 GPA. He's going to Dell State apparently on scholarship, and she's was trying to say she was trying to be proud of her son, and I think hey, I was saying there's black joy here. Let's see what happens, right? So 2 years later, after that camel prom situation, she was found guilty of basically taking in $37,000 in government disability benefit fraud. She collected $37,000 in government disability fraud for which she was ineligible for it, okay? And the U.S. District Judge had put this information out there, but concluded that she was a force of good, uplifting people and not putting them down, and sentenced her to house arrest. So she did not get prison time, okay? She didn't get prison time. And she used a lot of her stuff for good behavior. She did a lot of stuff between that time for the community. And so they sentenced her to 6 months house arrest and 3 years probation, which is a punishment far less severe than the prison term of 4 years and 10 months that was being called for by federal guidelines, because she did a lot. Let's be clear. She's based in North Philly. She, did a lot. She had a 2017 Dubai themed prom send off. She had foreign cars. She had 3 tons of sand. She even rented a damn camel. As I told you, this was over the top. And again, she claimed to do this to give her community a break from poverty and violence. But apparently, like I said before, she got spared from prison in 2019. So, to me, at that point, that should have been, I would have said, the end of it. In my head, I thought that, okay, she had this experience. Things have gotten better. It's over. That's it. Well, because I hear Mr. Softy's outside. I love that sound. Well, the crazy thing is that she continued to do these things in 2018, which she basically had a black leopard, okay, during a Black Panther Prime theme event in 2018. So she came back and did it again, and she was indicted, 1 month after that prom send-off that she did, which was inspired by Black Panther. So she had another one of those events, and it was a lot. She was indicted last year. Well, not last year, but in 2018. And I think the thing about it is that, okay, this is a lot, right? Some of y'all have heard this story already in the press and probably read about it, but it was a lot. It was a fucking lot. And so, in my opinion, I thought, okay, she's going to just, go away and, live her life and mind her business and stay out of trouble. Well, since then, she has been going viral for putting up videos of her large-scale cooking. And a lot of people have been noting some of the atrociousness of it. There was a video of her with sweet potatoes, and she had dumped like gallons upon gallons of sugar in these cooking preparation trays, I guess, for the sweet potatoes. She had relish, a bunch of relish, and she would say to the camera, if you don't like it, don't eat it, because she acted like she was upset that, people were, clowning and teasing. But at this point, she had done this so many times that you almost realize that it's, in a way, she kind of eats the attention up. Like this is how she's made a name for herself. Like it's really weird where she makes this really bad food, but she's also getting her food distributed in stores like ShopRite and places like that. I'm thinking to myself, this is like you're giving food that I mean, people have agency to choose what kind of food they're going to eat, but I'm just like, I don't understand. Like, this is all a joke. Like, you're playing into all types of stereotypes, which is, I guess, her agency, right? I mean, she has the choice to be a caricature in so many ways for this type of stuff, but it's just weird to me because I just, like, I just wonder to myself, like, is success based on profitability? Like, okay, you've made money and success looks like attention, followers, this type of validation. I mean, is this the only ways that we as black people, I mean, not that she represents all of us clearly because she doesn't, but I just in self-reflect just wonder like the stuff that we celebrate and the stuff that we don't. And I just wonder like there is an addiction to ignorance, right? We love stupid shit on internet. And I just feel like to a degree, it's just kind of sad, actually. I kind of feel bad for her that there's like this addiction to this type of fame, right? Because obviously she's got to be self-aware that people are laughing at her, not with her when she posts these videos. But at the same time, that's what keeps her analytics going. And I think she thinks it's marketing. But I want to be very clear. Country cooking there's nothing country about country cooking. There's things that might be arguably contaminated. I mean, maybe we should call it contaminated cooking. In my opinion. I'm just saying. I would argue that it's more. It appears to me to be more contaminated than country. Again, my opinion. I get this sense that it's country. I'm from the South. I know what country cooking is. And let me tell you something about you East Coast people, which are variations on Southern food. Sweet potatoes or yams. First of all, I feel like either everybody y'all put too much nutmeg and sage in it, or you put too much sugar in it, because that right there was just way too much. Mac and cheese, she was putting eggs in her mac and cheese. And now I know there are people who have done that, but she put way too many eggs. I'm just like, who's eating this? This is barbaric food. This is disgusting food. Who's really eating that food? Ugh. I don't know if she has a culinary background. I don't know what it is. But the stuff makes my stomach churn. Even thinking about it makes my stomach churn. The videos have been circulating social media. This is nothing new. She's been doing this for years. But recently someone begged the question of the day of saying like, at what point do we as consumers of this type of content say enough? At what point do we say, look, this isn't what's up. Like, let's turn away. Sadly, she got COVID during the pandemic, and a lot of it was interesting because she had gotten money from the city to put out a lot of anti-COVID, anti-COVID, but like combating COVID messages, wearing a mask, all these things. And she, in spite of all of that promotion on her own social media, she got COVID and did a whole thing on her social media broadcasting her experience and things of that nature. And I just wondered to myself, how much, clearly there is a desire for attention. There is this need, this obsession with that type of stuff. And I just wonder, it's one thing if you're doing it about actual work, but when you become the subject and the focal point. And I didn't think about it in my life. I really make it a point to keep things very fixated, not on my personal life or my personal business, which is interesting because people say, how do I pull this off? I think in my mind, what I've done is I keep the focus on the work and the topics. And there's always a sprinkle of fun life and things because I'm not completely like a ghost. But I'm not telling you if there's family problems or drama, those things, because those are the things that are my personal business. That's my personal life. I think that the problem has been is that some people use their life as a diary on social media. They use their life as this open book. And I just feel like if you have real friends ain't gonna be having you out here looking like a fool. I love the fact that I don't have issues where people, in my opinion, think that I'm a hot ass mess. Now there might be people just think that because I'm gay or they're homophobic or racist, whatever the case, that's fine. But I would say that I love the fact that I have friends that understand where I'm coming from, understand my direction, I understand their direction. I'm not gonna have my friends, my real friends, out here looking like a hot mess on social media and looking like this in public. And when you see situations where you have people who are not looking right online, that and looking right doesn't mean not having fun, whatever the case may be, but there's a line, right? You know there's an element to it where you're like, this person looks like they're really going through the shits. And is this the time to put a camera on them? Is this the time to bring media attention on them? Is this a time to let them have some privacy? Is this a time to have an intervention? But no one thinks about that because so many people, if you have people in your circle, everybody in your circle's yes men and yes women that just say whatever, do whatever because they're trying to be in the mix or they just want to, eat off you and bite off you. It's not good. And I'm very adamant that I'm so happy that in my circle, I don't have yes men and yes women. The people in my group have their own business, they have their own lives, and they have their own support. They don't need me or I don't need them in these ways to like, oh, I'm only friends with this person because this person got money, this person got something. Hell, everybody got their own goals, their own shit, their own flow, their own situation. And the good thing is that as friends, we come together and unite ourselves and our resources to do some really dope shit that we think is going to make an impact. That's a good feeling when you have friends who got their own goals and their own things. There's a lot of people out here got quote unquote friends who don't have a life, that have nothing, all they doing is smelling your ass all day. Never want to have those situations. I've had previous situations where I thought I wanted that type of friendship where, oh, this person is, I don't know what they got going on, but, they just love to be here for me and that's it. No, I want to be able to show up for you for something. You need to have something for me to show up for. Let me be of resource. Let me be of benefit. But I say all to say that I wonder if that support system is there to hold her accountable in ways that keeps her from, being the butt end of a joke or being exploited in this type of way. I think about that. But the food is god awful. How do I know? I've had it before. I've been forced to eat it a couple of times. I just don't think the food is that good. I think it's horrible. There's a lot of horrible food. I think that just seeing how she prepares the food as a Southerner, that this is not country cooking. This is contaminated cooking, in my opinion. And I just cannot, I cannot. But I will tell you this, actually, and I'll tell y'all a fun fact. Sadia Schuler, Country Cooking, blocked me 2 years ago, actually. She blocked me from social media, actually. She blocked me from Instagram. And this is because I was critical, and I wrote an article, that she was endorsing, at the time, then Sheriff Jewel Williams. And Sheriff Jewel Williams is a man who's had 2 settlements for allegations of sexual misconduct. We don't know all the details, but he's been accused multiple times by former employees of sexual harassment and misconduct. Situations that happened when he was a state rep and situations that happened previously. And these settlements were 6-figure settlements. Like, he had to settle with the city, taxpayers' dollars. And he lost his re-election in 2019 when he ran again for sheriff. And it was a big, hot, contested race, and he got his ass handed to him, okay? She endorsed him. And she used her social media account to endorse this man in spite of those accusations and everything that happened. And for me, that left a very sour taste in my mouth. And after my story ran about her endorsement of him, she instantly blocked me on Instagram, and that was that. So, for those who had that fun question about what do I know about these Philly cooks, like everybody talk about Darius cooks or whatever, this is what I think about Country Cooking and Miss Sadia Schuler. And she has a saying, don't mess with Saud. Well, I'm messing with you on this, okay? Get them gloves clean. Get that place clean. Stop putting the cameras on the preparation of food. Just my advice from one cook to another. I don't own a restaurant, but I definitely know how to make sure my stuff look right. Just saying. All right. And wrapping this all up, I saw the Pose finale. And it's been nearly a week, so I can do spoilers. The finale, it's over. It was such a very emotional roller coaster from beginning to end. I just cannot tell you all how much I went through the motions. I mean, we lost our beloved prey. Our beloved pray tell. In the ways that we were shocked because he was supposed to be his love for Ricky. He saved Ricky's life. Oh my God. at that scene, his final scene, I should have known something was happening. But I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought he was going to commit, I got to sense that he was going to commit suicide. But he didn't. It was actually something else. It was just the weirdest thing. But we found out, and then Ricky goes on to live his life, and there was a lot of conversation about the racial disparities of HIV treatment and treatment for people with AIDS, living with AIDS. It was a masterpiece. It was 2 hours long, filled with drama, filled with emotions to the very fucking end. And I must say, they did a really good job pacing and spacing and getting us to like the 90s and whatnot. Well, the late 90s, 98 and things. And, you know, it just kept going. They really did a good job of getting us to like somewhat level of modern times. I mean, we got up to like 98. I mean, clearly they wasn't going to go faster than that because they would have had to age the people a little bit more. But they got us to 98. So the show kind of started in the 80s or whatever. Because I remember Ricky was about to turn 30. He was questioning his youthfulness. So it had a nice little flow to it. Because I remember like the show started around the early 80s and stuff. But it picked up. It definitely picked up. And it was about a span of like 20-something years. It was emotional. It was memorable, and it's just gonna be interesting what the world will be like without Pose. I think that what's interesting about the show altogether, though, is that I feel like because the pandemic had paused all of these great shows, you kind of got used to that break in between because everything was on pause. So everything returning now, you're kind of like, well, how much did I miss some of these shows? How much I didn't? But I really did miss Pose, and it ended. It ended. I at first I thought they were rushing through things, but the finale kind of, encompassed and put everything in full perspective. And what a way to put it down in Pride Month too. So hopefully I see a lot of Emmys in his future, potentially. I see a lot of Emmy nominations. I would love to see MJ Rodriguez finally get nominated for Best Lead Actress. It might be a far-off dream, but wouldn't it be nice to see those actors get that recognition and get those nominations? I mean, Billy Porter, who would not want him to get a final, Emmy for that brilliant performance? And he recently came out as HIV positive in real life, Billy Porter did. It's interesting knowing that and watching these last couple episodes. It just gives it so much. He was he was playing the fuck out that character, but knowing in real life that he was paused, it just really added so much depth. This was he lived through this character. He was, pray tell. It was a Billy Porter role. I can't see anyone else playing that character in future iterations or whatnot, but it was a fabulous show. It was a great show. So yeah, I will be continuing on writing and doing my thing and getting ready for this Pride weekend part 2. And like I tell people before, it's be thoughtful, be mindful, and all that jazz. So cannot wait to keep you all updated on some of the other great things that's coming down the way. There are still big surprises, and I have to sit on my hands, sit on my mouth. And let me just get off here before I run my mouth. So love you all. Be well, be best. Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.